there's more often than not a lot that happens in the world of sport when you and I are catching up on some sleep. But of course, the world of sport is such that it doesn't more often than not get any rest. So we bring you this morning update or morning wrap, whatever it is you want to call it, every single day to help you catch up on the things that have been happening in the world of sport whilst you were getting some rest because the world of sport never really stops. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it and let's start off with some rather interesting, discoveries that we are getting now from the ICC World Cup. And of course, you remember that in the ICC World Cup final, when Manus Labuschagne came out to bat, Virat Kohli was actually pictured, he was seen, exchanging a few words with Labuschagne, and he was actually clapping at him and saying a few things to him. It was captured on the cameras, and a lot of people were wondering what exactly it is that Kohli had said to Labuschagne at that point in time. Now, Labuschagne has actually spoken for the first time about that on public. It was in his newsletter, and he said that look, a lot of the Indian players were chirping at me and having a go, but I simply told them that I couldn't hear what it is they said because the noise in the stadium was so much, and I'm being very truthful and honest about it. So he said that look, I couldn't hear a thing these guys were saying to me due to the very simple reason that there was so much noise in the stadium that there was no chance or no way that I would have been able to hear what it was that was being said to me. So obviously, he clearly blocked out whatever was being said intentionally or otherwise. Whether or not, he wanted to hear what was being said, he probably couldn't because the cauldron of noise that was there at the Narendra Modi Stadium in Ahmedabad pretty much ensured that he could not hear what it was that was being said. And in a sense, it actually worked out well for Labuschagne because he ended up hearing or not hearing what was being said and could simply then focus on the task at hand, which was to resuscitate the Australian innings at that point in time. And therefore, he could focus on the task at hand quite easily and just then move on with the match. Because again, I found it a little surprising that the Indian players were choosing to chirp at him at that point in time. I mean, yes, you'd gotten a couple of wickets, but there was no need to be cocky just yet. So getting a Labuschagne in and someone who could at that point of time have changed the course of the game. Again, Labuschagne very much someone who does rise to the occasion in the bigger game. So bit surprising there. However, India's heartbreak, you can say, in ICC finals continued, and they were given some interesting advice in that regard about what it is that they should be doing to move past that heartbreak, and that comes from none other than Kapil Dev, of course, someone who knows a thing or two about winning ICC tournaments, given that he won India their first ever ICC tournament in 1983 when they upset the odds to win the World Cup. Kapil Dev's advice was simple: you need to move on from the defeat. He's saying that as a sports person, it's very easy to get caught up in the moment and it's okay to feel bad. But once you are done feeling bad, then you need to kind of process that and get past it and focus on the next assignment at hand. Because obviously now you're reaching that point where, there's so much cricket being played. And of course, there are ICC tournaments to look forward to every year. So it's pertinent advice, you can say, from Kapil Dev, who said that, look, your job is to now focus on the next task at hand. It's not to be caught up in the heartbreak, and it's understandable, but now you need to put that behind you, move past it, and just say, okay, it's done, it's dusted. We can't really do anything much beyond that. Another interesting update, which we just recently discovered from the World Cup, and it comes courtesy of David Warner, who was actually a guest on AB de Villiers' YouTube channel. He was there for a chat with de Villiers, and Warner in that chat revealed something rather interesting. He said that there was actually a team discussion on what it is that Australia should do if they were going to be, winning the toss. Should they bat first or should they bowl first? Because Warner admitted, he said that, look, all of the stats, all of the numbers which were coming out from that particular, stadium was saying bat first, get a good total, and then defend. And, especially considering the kind of pitch that was at play at Ahmedabad, that probably would have been decent advice. But he said that eventually a lot of people in the team, when we were having that team meeting, said that no, if we win the toss, then you should chase because you don't know what kind of a pitch you're going to get. And it makes sense to let the opposition know what exactly, or let the opposition figure out what exactly they have to do rather than Australia winning the toss and then trying to figure out what a good total is. Because in his words, if you did actually, get a decent total, or if you, let's say, you were able to, let's say, determine how many runs you had to get in the second innings if you were chasing, then you could anchor down in the middle and actually control the way the chase was going. If you didn't, well, then you were always going to run the risk. And it proved to be an inspired decision in the end. A lot of people praised Cummins for that decision, and rightfully so. But it does turn out to be a bit of a team decision in that regard, because again, it wasn't just Cummins who was taking that call. It was the team, majority of whom, according to Warner, said that no, we should be bowling first. It makes no sense to bat first, given you don't know what the pitch is going to look like. Another update from the world of cricket, and this one comes courtesy of the ICC, not the World Cup necessarily. The ICC have put in a ban of sorts on, or rather a full-on ban on the participation of transgender players in women's cricket. Now, the reason for this ban coming into effect is because the ICC, remember, are now looking to govern their sport more on the basis of how it is that the Olympics govern. And you would remember that in the Olympics, there is in fact a ban on trans athletes taking part in, say, women's sports. Now, of course, cricket will be a part of the Summer Olympics come 2028. It will be making a return after more than 100 years. So the ICC too is looking to govern in that way and ensure that, their whatever rules it is that they are setting falls in line with the standards that are in place when it comes to the Olympic way of governing things. So they've put that ban in place. And truth be told, I think it's not the worst move in the world. I'm all for trans rights as a whole, but let's say, there are advantages that you gain from having gone through puberty at a young age, male puberty that is, that cannot be reversed with, a sex change. So that is why the blanket ban has been put in place. And it's very interesting that Sports Fan mentions in the comments that Brazil have lost for their first time in their home in a World Cup qualifiers against Argentina after a lot of chaos, because that, in fact, was the next news item that I was coming to. Argentina inflicted a 1-0 defeat over Brazil in what could very well have been Lionel Messi's final match at in Brazil. And remember, there was a lot of chaos, as he mentions early on the match. There was a delayed kickoff because there was quite a bit of chaos. Messi had also walked off the pitch, so it wasn't very ideal. And many people were coming thinking, okay, maybe we get to see a Messi goal. Messi didn't end up scoring. It was, in fact, Nicolas Otamendi who got the goal. But pretty good overall game regardless. Argentina bounced back well after being, let's say, defeated 2-0 by Uruguay in the qualifier that preceded this. So Argentina currently in a good position as far as the World Cup qualifiers are concerned. Brazil, though, not so much. You'd remember that they have a new coach, but things have been a little bit chaotic in the national team, and it's Lassau in that regard. So definitely not ideal for them. But, I don't think they were the deserving winners on the night, because again, Argentina did play very well and they were, for long stretches, you could say, the better team. Now, more footballing news, and because it's the international break, it's all international news. Croatia have become the team, or rather, I should say, the last team who will qualify for the Euro 2024 tournament in an automatic basis. Now remember, 24 teams play the Euros and 21 of those spots are automatic qualification. The last spot has gone to Croatia, which means that Wales, who for the longest of times did look like they would be one of the favorites to secure that automatic spot, will now have to go through the playoffs. And that's a bit unfortunate for the Welsh team, because again, they were doing pretty well in the qualifiers, but that's the nature of the beast as far as international sport, especially qualifiers for such tournaments, is concerned. One slip up can potentially cost you. Wales, still favorites to qualify, but will now have to take the longer route and go through the playoffs. And we'll end this morning wrap with a bit of India-centric news that, we actually didn't end up covering. There was, action, or badminton action taking place in the China Masters Super 750 tournament, currently taking place in the city of Shenzhen. And India's start to the campaign pretty positive, because HS Prannoy ended up qualifying for the round of 16, and as the doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj, Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty also ended up winning their match pretty comfortably. Both teams through to the next round, and you'd hope, considering that Olympic times are now, everything that is happening in the world of badminton and indeed many other sports is keeping in mind the Olympic Games. So you'd hope that India continue to put up some good performances in that regard when it comes to, let's say, sports that are Olympic sports. Prannoy and, the doubles duo of Satvik Sairaj, Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty would definitely be medal prospects, or you would hope would be medal prospects come the Olympics. So the fact that their form remains steady would, of course, be a very, very good thing for Indian sport as a whole. And that's it from this edition of the Morning Wrap. Thank you guys so much for joining us again. If you enjoy our work, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap that bell icon, leave us a comment, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget to download the Sports Tech app, and if you're already on the channel, Go ahead, check out other videos that we uploaded yesterday, and stay tuned today. We have plenty more coming your way. For now, though, from my side, it is goodbye.